test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check.
at the parade.
I
That
thought
was
this was a really nice edition of the paper. I mean, they're all really good,
fun. Yeah.
but this is particularly nice.
So I'm just trying to pull up Board Docs.
I didn't make the connection until last night. The Bella Caruso who wrote for the Pelham examiner.
It's fun to see the pictures, like,
Mm-hmm.
big size, rather than just looking on your phone, you know?
Totally.
I like it.
And I learned that last night when she introduced her as her daughter. I guess I better not say anything.
Well, for some reason, my Board Docs isn't coming up on my iPad. I made like an update and I think it's screwing it up.
I'm opening now.
I might just look at yours as
Yeah,
far as
that's
the,
fine.
because I don't want to hold this up.
We got a big crowd tonight.
I know, for good reason.
Exactly.
Okay, so opening remarks, this, then, oh, the recognition. I'm going to do the opening remarks before the recognition.
Okay,
Right.
that's fine.
Okay. And then minutes, and then I'm gonna make a motion to go through minutes and then do a motion to approve moving 8.1 up. Is that right?
Opening remarks, recognition, that'll be the student recognition.
Right.
Yeah, and then.
And
you
then
can
I'll
move
do the
8.1
minutes
up.
and then I'll move 8.1. Okay, I don't
Yeah.
need your.
You got it? Okay. All right.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay. I'd like to call the May 18th business meeting, the certification of vote and tenure appointments to order. Would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sue, 2.4 is reiteration of the executive session motions.
Yes, the board met in executive session to discuss collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of Civil Service Law, the employment history of a particular person, and the discussion of the record of a particular student.
So welcome. I love having a packed house. So like we're normally so lonely up here. So it's nice to have so many of you with us and to be here for such a great honor and a good reason. Tonight is very special as we'll be voting to award tenure of some of our distinguished members of our school community. They have each demonstrated a history of success in their roles within our school system. We have, do I have the count right, 4 teachers and a school social worker who we're honoring tonight, and they've, no, that I'm getting to, but in terms of the non-administrators, okay, who have demonstrated an ability to bring out the best in our students, creating learning environments that foster respect and collaboration in their classrooms. Additionally, they have demonstrated their ability to communicate effectively with parents and their colleagues, as well as to contribute to the greater learning community of their schools and of our district. We also have 2 administrators who are receiving tenure tonight, and they've shown dedication to our students and our schools through their willingness to listen, adapt, manage many, sometimes competing needs, engender trust, and model leadership. We are so lucky that these special educators are on the ground working each day with our students, and I'm thrilled that we're able to celebrate each of them in person this evening. Tonight, we will also have the opportunity to recognize Eliana Herzog, our high school senior who's been named a National Merit Finalist. This is truly a distinguished honor. And finally, we will be certifying the results of the budget vote and school board election. Thank you to all who put their hat in the ring by running in this election, and for the Citizens Nominating Committee for establishing a non-political race and who recruited, interviewed, and nominated each of our candidates. I also want to thank those within the district who worked so hard on the development of this year's budget and for all their community engagement, all of the community engagement. And recognition must go to the community at large for the overwhelming support of the budget. It's so critical to support our schools, especially the budget that we just passed. And congratulations to our 3 new board members who are here with us this evening. Natalie Marrero, Jacqueline DeAngelis, and Will. I'm really looking forward to working with each of you. I've had a pleasure getting to know each of you during this process, and I'm looking forward to the next year ahead. Now that the spirit of a heated election is behind us, I hope that we, as leaders in our educational community, can rise up and serve as role models for our students and continue the very important work that is before us. So next, I'd like to move to the recognition of our student. I have it, yes. Should we have Eliana come up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Meet her up at the microphone.
Okay, Eliana?
To present Aliana Herzog with the certificate recognizing her selection as a National Merit Scholarship Finalist 2022. Just a little bit about the program so folks can understand the accomplishment here. The National Merit Scholarship Corporation recognizes students based on their scores received on the PSAT exam. Each year, over 1.5 million students take the exam, and then recognition is selected from some of the 50,000 with the highest PSAT scores. They qualify for recognition in the National Merit Scholarship Program. Of those, students can become commended students. Students can then become semifinalists. In early September, about 16,000 of that 1.5 million students are recognized as semifinalists, or approximately 1/3 of those that were considered high scorers. And then in February, that would have been notification back in September, and then in February, of that top 15,000, those are selected. Sorry, I'm getting my notes all, but I've got too many notes today, I'm sorry. In February, 15,000 of that group are then identified and notified as finalists in this process. And Eliana is the one representative from Pelham Memorial High School for this year. We're incredibly proud of your accomplishment, especially during what's been incredibly challenging 2 years. To continue to come forward and to commit to your academics in such a strong and committed way is truly phenomenal. So congratulations, you represent your school and your family so well. Okay. Sure. We're going to do a photo and then she's going to come bump.
Were you a finalist? Semi-finalist? I didn't think it was such a big deal back then.
I wanted to shake your hand, but I guess.
Congratulations.
Should we do like a special handshake or something?
You poor thing. Congratulations.
Must be embarrassing, right? Yeah.
And congratulations to Eliana's family as well. I know these accomplishments don't come by themselves, so congratulations to you.
Next is Section 3, which is approval of the minutes. 3.1 is the minutes of our business meeting of May 4th, 2022. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Leah. Do I have a
Second.
second? Thanks, Vinny. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, next, I'd like to move item 8.1 up so that all these wonderful people can go out and celebrate. Do I have a motion to move the item up?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Now I'd like to take a motion for 8.1.
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion? Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vinny. Okay, so.
Discussion?
Discussion. Turn it over to you.
Okay. So this is always one of what I think is one of the best nights of the year for us as a district, for the Board of Education, myself as well. And as was said earlier, it's wonderful to have such a full house on such a celebratory night. It's great for us to be able to be together and to celebrate 7 accomplished professionals tonight on this incredible milestone in your career. Teaching is one of those things that you're called to. It's a mission, it's a lifestyle, and there's certain milestones that are incredibly important in that. I have to say, we always call it the gauntlet, but even getting to a job in Pelham is a very challenging thing to do. So that first hurdle and first milestone that you each have accomplished was that in of itself is something to feel proud of. And then for those next 3 or 4 years, depending on which career path you are on, we hope that those years are formative years, challenging years, growing years, and years that you really come to love this and want to make this your home, as we all work together to really support you and to really identify those folks who have the values and the belief system and the commitment to delivering for our kids what it is we want for them. And what we discover is when people come to Pelham, very often they come and this is where they plant their roots for their career. So we're thrilled tonight that each of you has reached that milestone. We're very proud of you, incredibly proud of the work that you've done, thrilled to have your families, your colleagues, your friends here to celebrate with you tonight. So I'm going to just walk us through I'm going to be a little bit of the MC, and we've got administrators here tonight to speak a little bit more deeply about each of you and to recognize the accomplishment that you have achieved tonight. So we're going to go in the order, and I should note, in the paper copies of the agenda, if you picked one up, we had a little typo on that. So the tenure recommendations are not on the paper, but they are on the official board agenda that the board is looking at. So for any of you who like souvenirs, my assistant Pauline, any of the tenure candidates, she'll be happy to email a corrected copy to you so you can put it in your files, put it on your refrigerator, whatever you'd like to do, so you have the paper proof that tonight existed and it occurred, and each of you was conferred tenure. So I'm going to go in the order that is on the board agenda, which is basically we're going to go through the teaching and social work staff and then onto our administrators. So as we go through them, I'm going to invite the tenure recipient as well as the administrator who will be speaking about them to come join me at the microphone. So to kick things off for tonight, our first candidate was hired in the district in 2018, and she has helped to grow and fully implement our FLES program. She's highly creative, and in this role, she's able to use that creativity to engage students in learning Spanish and about the Spanish culture. Although when you go to the elementary schools, our kids often think that our FLES teachers don't actually speak English because they speak in Spanish all the time in all of their classes from 2nd grade up. She actually often tells her students that she is not a native speaker, and she does this to encourage them because she feels like it's important for children to know that they may not speak Spanish yet, but that they too can learn it, and they can learn Spanish at any age, and it can be a part of who they are. So I'm happy and pleased at this time to invite Kristin Lavin to the mic to receive her tenure, and for her principal, Dr. Fitzgerald, to speak more about her.
We talk about the need for learning to be engaging, for learning to be fun. Anyone who spends at least 5 minutes in the room during one of Senorita Lavin's FLES lessons can attest that they are the epitome of great teaching. Through songs, movements, and her self-designed Conejita Bunny avatar, students are not only highly engaged, but are having a blast while learning. Senorita Lavin graduated from Geneseo with her bachelor's in broadcasting and journalism, with her sights set on getting into the news business. She worked at the News 12 assignment desk and at Fox News, gathering the next big news event for the producers. However, Senorita Lavin had a love of children and the Spanish language and the culture. After traveling to Spain and graduating with a master's in Spanish and K-12 education, Senorita Lavin took the advice of her great aunt and went into teaching. Senorita Lavin has taught in public and private schools to adults and to students in a K-12 setting. In 2018, Senorita Lavin joined our FLES program here in Pelham and has never looked back. She has traveled to at least 6 Spanish-speaking countries and has brought those experiences back to the students in Pelham so they've learned not only the language, but the Spanish culture through her FLES lessons and morning announcements. Senorita Lavin has been involved in many facets of the Hutchinson and Siwanoy schools, including helping out with lunch recess, as a PTA teacher liaison, serving on our district's Cultural Competence Committee and our COVID Reopening Committee, and now as our Hutchinson Spelling Bee coach. In speaking with her colleagues, they shared the following. Her ability to be so animated through her lessons captivates the students. She has incredible energy, and she makes learning fun for the kids. She always has a smile on her face and a kind word when she passes in the hallways. The kids love her class, they sing and dance. Her lessons are engaging and user-friendly. We just can't help but to join in. In getting to know Kristin over the past few years, it is abundantly clear how much she cares about her students and their learning. She goes to great lengths to keep her students engaged and does all she can do to make learning fun. She creates videos, songs, rhymes, games that the students know and love well. I know that I find sometimes myself singing or humming a few of those songs along with the kids, and sometimes even when the kids aren't even there. Kristin's enthusiasm is contagious. Even the most reluctant student can't help but join in. The fruits of her labor are clearly seen in how much students have loved their learning and how eager they are to learn even more. As a colleague, Kristin is so kind and caring. She's the type of person who asks how you are doing and generally cares what the answer is. She takes the time to share, and she takes the time to listen. We are grateful that Senorita Lavin listened to her great aunt to combine her love of teaching with the Spanish language and culture so that our students have a rich, engaging, and fun FLES experience. Congratulations on your tenure appointment.
So you're going to hear a little bit of a theme as we go through some of these candidates for tenure. Our next candidate is a Pelham graduate, Pelham Memorial High School graduate. She came here, she followed one of our other tenure candidates tonight, Mr. Greg Lau. She followed him from New Rochelle to come take the reins of our Foundations of Learning middle school program. And she brought that same warmth for the program that Greg has brought to the district. That is her wheelhouse, and she's brought in a whole new energy to that program. She's also flexible, and this year has been doing integrated co-teach as well. Feedback from parents, staff, and colleagues has been positive. She's warm, welcoming, upbeat, professional, and easy to work with. All great qualities. And to introduce our candidate, Ms. Jennifer Cote, I invite you up at this time. And I also invite Ms. Sabia to come to the microphone and talk a little bit more about Jen.
It's my pleasure to recommend Jen Cote for tenure for special education in the middle school. A graduate from Iona College, a master's degree from Concordia University. Ms. Cote has 5 certifications: early childhood education, special education, and extensions in math and ELA. Before coming to us, Ms. Cote taught at the Aaron School, where she designed the Foundations of Learning program, the Ideal School, where she was a co-teacher, a charter school in Queens, and then little did I know, we got Greg and Jen as a package deal, so I couldn't be happier. Ms. Cote has transformed our Foundations of Learning program. She's integrated her students in the school community at large. She's created opportunities for students to truly learn valuable life skills as they shop in our local stores, participate in all school-wide activities. Ms. Cote also wrote a grant for students to become entrepreneurs and run a coffee cart within our school in the middle and the high school. Mr. Lau's comments about Jen is that she sees her students as more than capable. She creates dynamic learning plans, individual student reward systems, helps students reach their full potential. She teaches them academics, but she also teaches the students to be self-confident, believe in themselves, and advocate for themselves. Ms. Cote also serves as the co-treasurer for our Student Government Association. She runs the Pelham Together Club here at the middle school, works with the high school. She chaperones social events during COVID so that our Middle school students could go ice skating, go bowling, go to the movies. She teaches in our after-school extended academy program. She works closely with the high school's foundation program so that the students can have a real smooth transition from middle school to high school. She's a wonderful addition, not just to special ed and our school, but our community at large. Congratulations, Jen.
So I apologize, I went a little out of alphabetical order, but that's okay. Our next tenure candidate is also a Pelham Memorial High School graduate. There's your theme. And we were thrilled to have him return to Pelham as a teacher, certified in and prepared and teaching in both science and special education. He's demonstrated incredible knowledge of both subjects, of skills in co-teaching, and it creates an engaging classroom environment where students feel appreciated and supported. He's connected with our students both inside and outside of the classroom. I remember meeting him at his interview and thinking immediately that there was a warmth and a connection to the Pelham vibe. And that's because he grew up here, this is where his roots are, and to see folks returning to their roots says an incredible amount to me about a community and a school system. He not only works in the classroom with our students, but he has been an assistant coach as well for our men's varsity lacrosse team. Before I steal all of Mr. Berkowitz's thunder, I'm going to invite Garrett Johnson and Mr. Berkowitz to the microphone.
It's a great pleasure to be here tonight on behalf of Garrett Johnson and to make the recommendation for Garrett's completion of probation and being awarded tenure. Garrett Johnson is an exceptional member of the Pelham Memorial High School community and Pelham community at large. Garrett is, as Dr. Champ said, dual licensed teacher of science and special education, a graduate 2009 of Pelham Memorial High School, whose colleagues, many of the colleagues in the departments were his former teachers. So we know that Mr. Baltakis was both a science teacher and a coach. We know that Ms. Calvelli was a language teacher. It really means a lot to not only have been a student of such teachers, but to be their colleague and to have them here tonight says so much. So Garrett Johnson is created a career dedicated to his love of teaching, his love of Pelham, his love of coaching, his love of working with young people. Over the past several years, Garrett has demonstrated his capacity as both a general education science teacher and a special education teacher. His classroom environments are classrooms where students feel supported, appreciated, and ready to excel. His students know that he cares about their success inside the classroom. They know that he cares about them outside of the classroom. If you walk into the science wing in the morning, say 7:30 in the morning, even if Garrett's been coaching at Glover until 9 o'clock, Garrett is there before I am. In addition to his daytime responsibilities, Mr. Johnson, who played Division I lacrosse at the University of Delaware, is the assistant to Coach James Rogers, also his high school coach, and partners with Mr. Joe DeBello to supervise and lead essay activities for the class of 2023. They put on an amazing junior prom, and that also deserves accolades tonight with our students. The students did it, but their leadership as advisors really made it an exceptional evening. So I'm so proud to be a school leader who works with Garrett, and excited to make his recommendation to the board. And congratulations, Garrett, on all that you've done and your ongoing commitment to our students and families of Pelham. I'd like to invite up Dr. Tom Callahan, Garrett's immediate supervisor, for a few additional words.
Yeah.
So thank you, Principal Berkowitz. I mean it sincerely when I say that my favorite board meeting nights are really ones that recognize students or recognize teachers. And tonight I'm honored to be able to say a few words about a special education and science teacher that has become an integral part of our program. I'm sure it must be for the Board of Education particularly rewarding to bestow such an important award on one of its own graduates. Garrett Johnson is a proud alumnus of Pelham Schools, and that is something he lets everyone around our schools know. I want to thank the BOE for recognizing this teacher tonight, despite that little incident that happened at Siwanoy when he was in 5th grade. Yeah, I'm telling them the story. Yeah, it's happening. You don't know about that? You guys don't know about that story? Okay, here we go. So when Garrett was younger, he unfortunately witnessed a fire, I think across the street from your house when you were a little kid. So it made him really, really, I mean, everybody's afraid of fires, but it made him particularly afraid of fires. So from then on, and even now, he's very fearful of flames. During a fire drill one day, his teacher went to assemble the class to evacuate the building to the blacktop. Garrett was so afraid, he evacuated all right, he went all the way home. To hear Garrett tell the story to his students, as he does before the first fire drill every year, is pretty remarkable, as he notes he had to go home, and that, you know, his students should really not follow that particular procedure. He encourages them all to follow directions and to evacuate in a timely fashion. The bottom line, though, is Garrett always comes back to Pelham schools as he did after that fire drill. After going away to Delaware for college, he came back home again. Garrett loves Pelham. He works like he loves Pelham. Every student that Mr. Johnson teaches or coaches knows that they are of value to him, and his dedication to their growth is really difficult to miss. Mr. Johnson knows his content, he knows his sport, but most importantly, he knows how to get students engaged in learning. My intern at the time Garrett was interviewing was a classmate of his. She said to me, "Dr. Callahan," true story, "Garrett is one of the best people I know. Pelham would do well to hire him." Time has proven that she was right, and we are all the better for having Mr. Johnson in our science and special education classes. I can only imagine how proud the members of this community must be to see an alumnus of their schools earn tenure. We work to ensure that all of our students aspire to and pursue excellence, and it's nice to see someone like Garrett achieve this acknowledgement because they have proven that they are excellent. Congratulations to you and to your family on your accomplishment.
And who said your record doesn't follow you? Right. Okay, our next honoree this evening. Not a Pelham graduate, but we like her anyways. Again, our next tenure candidate, I'm very, really pleased to recommend tonight. She had the unique privilege of initiating the role of social worker in our district as a full-time district-employed social worker. She has increased our ability to provide resources to students and families. She's given us capacity to liaise and to work far beyond what we would be able to do without the talents of a social worker. She's been involved in peer leadership. She served on our wellness committee and has just taken on responsibilities at both the school and the district level. I have to note, too, especially the work that she did through COVID was one of those people that you're never going to see all of what she did, but she was the connective tissue that made sure kids didn't get lost, made sure students had internet, made sure students, if they needed computers, they got in contact with those resources. She is someone who doesn't let kids fall through the cracks, and that is an amazingly talented gift and something that everyone strives to accomplish, and she's really excelled in so many ways. Whether it's the physical needs, mental, social, emotional, she's there for her students and for all of our students district-wide. So I'm very pleased. I kept Mr. Berkowitz here so that he can speak about our next tenure candidate, and that is Kristin Quintano.
I'm so pleased and proud and honored to speak tonight on behalf of Kristin Quintano, Pelham Memorial High School social worker. Ms. Quintano, as Dr. Champ said, was first brought into our district as an SAS counselor and then was appointed as a full-time social worker for the high school. Over these years, some of which predate my arrival, she has contributed to our school community in myriad of ways. She's participated in universal DBT training, dialectical behavioral therapy, and helped provide those skills to students. She has coordinated outside guests, such as John Tessitore of the JCK Foundation, whose presentation last year was an incredible and important one that took place in the spring of last year. She's taken leadership roles, coordinating our annual 9th grade orientation. It takes place each August, and is a direct participant and leader within our Pelham Memorial High School MTSS team. That's the multi-tiered systems of support. Kristin's work is student-centered, it's proactive, it's essential. She is a skilled professional who directly supports students and families as well as those in crisis. During the 2020-2021 school year, Ms. Quintano was exceptionally important to the PMHS community as she liaised directly with those students and families and Pelham Civics to ensure that every family had the wireless access they needed at home. To say it again, our district did an exceptional job of giving the laptops and in-school services. Ms. Quintano made sure that folks had what they needed at home so that they could access our district's hybrid instructional models and remote learning environments. In addition, Ms. Quintano has been a critical advocate for students and families who have had higher rates of outpatient and inpatient mental health needs over the past 2 years. She supported school-based outreach to treatment facilities and also supported students' return back into the PMHS community. She's a collaborator, she's an advocate, and I'm so grateful to be a partner and supervisor and principal in service of Kristin's work in our district. She, of course, works directly with Mr. Gene Farrell in the counseling department, but she works across our district and across our building in particular. Congratulations, Kristin, on achieving this milestone in your career.
Thank you. Our next candidate is a former graduate of Pelham Memorial High School. She is an outstanding Spanish teacher. She's creative, warm, hands-on. She started in our district as a part-time teacher and now has achieved this milestone of tenure. And I know that we were thrilled when the position opened up for her to become full-time. We've been very fortunate over the years. Folks that have taken a chance, gotten their foot in the door with us in a part-time capacity, stuck with us till those opportunities came, and we were so thrilled that she did. At this time, I'm very excited to welcome Jennifer Moravik and Ms. Sabia to speak about her.
It is with great pleasure that I recommend Jen Moravik for tenure as Spanish teacher in Pelham Middle School. Jen did come back to her roots, as been said before. She was a graduate of Pelham High School, and her mom is a retired Spanish teacher from Pelham as well. So we got you beat on that. We got one more. She attended Catholic University in Washington, D.C., where she majored in Spanish and minored in international relations. She attended University of Madrid for her junior year. She was awarded a teaching fellow at Boston College, where she completed her master's degree in Spanish. Ms. Moravik was previously tenured at Ardsley, and she took a 14-year leave of absence for maternity. She came back with the energy I've never seen before. In 2015, Jen received her FLES extension from Manhattanville in Spanish so that she could join the middle school. Her first 4 years were part-time, and we were thrilled when the position became open. We kept saying, it could possibly be full-time, so just stay with us. So we're really glad she did. She does outstanding work on curriculum, has developed and created bilingual surveys for students and families of incoming sixth graders to ensure proper placement. She's part of the Spanish team that has helped design a Spanish 6 cumulative review, diagnostic assessments used to evaluate students beginning with Spanish 7. Ms. Moravik creates incredible authentic displays. She organizes school-wide El Dia de los Muertos every year. I had to practice that. She gives students hands-on opportunities to experience the important Mexican customs, allowing them to make cross-cultural connections, exactly what we need to nourish our global competence and global citizenship. Ms. Moravik is the moderator of the Spanish Club and has conducted bracelet and keychain sales to raise money to buy books to create a small library in the Mexican mountains. She works with Pelham Together in the middle school and the high school and created Project Esperanza, which was designing a school community cookbook that featured recipes from our families and local restaurants. And the cookbooks were sold to raise money for Hope Community Food Pantry. Jen has been a member of our National School of Character Review team. She's an active member on our school-wide activities team, and it's truly a pleasure, and we're blessed to have her as full-time tenure teacher.
Thank you, Ms. Sabia. So moving to the administrative ranks, an incredible, probably the most talented, not probably, definitely the most talented administrative team I've ever had the pleasure of working with. I'm very pleased tonight to talk briefly about our next candidate. Although he is not a graduate of Pelham Memorial High School, he did coach swimming in Pelham. So that kind of qualifies him, sort of. We'll adopt him for that. I remember interviewing him and was so pleased to meet him. I'd heard his reputation had preceded him, and then when I met him, I understood why. With the departure that many at the high school remember of Ricky, thank you. I got thrown by Ricky over here. No H in this one. With Gina's departure, this gentleman had very big shoes to fill and really had the opportunity to create a new position, as we had never had a secondary supervisor for special education as an administrative position before. So when he came, he hit the ground running. He made a seamless transition to the Pelham culture, which he knew from his outside work as coaching, and he brought his incredible expertise and professional experience from his time in New Rochelle to bear here in Pelham. He created this position to take what were already outstanding programs and to push them forward. He brought incredible skills in knowledge and transition services, and brought a whole new perspective on how to continue to increase inclusive education. And we've seen growth in our program, expansion of our integrated co-teach, revisions in our special education model at the secondary level that are continuing to meet the needs of our students better and better each year. I'm pleased to invite my colleague from the cabinet, Ms. Rosemary Matthews, to talk about our next candidate, Mr. Greg Lau.
So Greg, I told you about my thing with shoes. I wore my party shoes to celebrate you tonight. So 4 years ago, when I retired from Pelham, one of my last official acts was to recommend that we hire you. Steve Garcia and Lauren Ribeiro were part of your interview process, and you barely left the conference room, and we knew you were it. It was important for us to improve upon that one area that we truly believed in before all else, and that was transition planning, to ensure that our students, in spite of their challenges, had a life far beyond our Pelham doors that their parents hoped and dreamed of. So you walk in with solid knowledge in everything special ed, and then experience in counseling, collaboration with families to assist students with educational and career planning. We knew we needed you, but most important, right, Lauren, we liked you. Since Lauren is your partner in crime, I knew that she would have some thoughts for tonight. She captured the moment we met you and the gift you have been to the PPS department just perfectly. From the moment Greg first interviewed in Pelham, we knew that he was meant to be part of our PPS department. His expertise in transition planning has been incredibly helpful for our students as we prepare them for the post-secondary world. His warm and welcoming demeanor quickly puts families at ease and makes him extremely approachable to our students. His colleagues know that he is always willing to collaborate with them in order to find the best outcomes for our students. Greg truly cares about the students, their families, and his colleagues in Pelham. He is a true partner for me at work and a dear friend in my life. I'm so proud of him for earning tenure tonight. That's from Lauren. I knew I had to also hear from the new OGs in the high school in the special ed department. Aileen Memely and Nicole Marusek were very happy to speak about you. They echoed Lauren, and they added, Greg has been a welcome addition to our department. His professionalism and concern for students and teachers shows in all he does. Greg runs a CSE that is calm, cool, and collected, even in the most challenging situations, and we know that's not easy. He shows the teachers he cares, leaving treats in their mailboxes and having chocolate bar meetings. They like that. He's responsive, he's always willing to problem solve, but most of all with a warm approach that has made him a pleasure to work with. So Greg, you and I talked about how we wished we could have worked together when we met and spent that summer together. As luck would have it, we got our chance. I've enjoyed this time, watching how much you believe in our students, giving them help and hope. It's been so fun sharing our not-so-secret love for the Foundations of Learning students and also our own family parallels. Erin, thank you for sharing Greg with us. I can attest to the fact that twins are double pleasure, even with another sibling in the mix. Your Pelham family wishes your family the best always. Congratulations on your tenure, Greg. I'm really going to miss you.
And our final candidate for the night, he's not from Pelham, but if you were ever looking for a needle in the haystack, we found it. His first love remains instruction and technology integration. He's incredibly skilled at everything else, though. And he is the man who makes it all work. He and his department, I should say, and his entire department is here tonight, so it shows you what the caliber of the leader that this gentleman is. Whether it's hardware, software, infrastructure design, infrastructure management, data protection, systems design, integration, data analysis, transformative adaptive leadership. I could go on, but I won't because Dr. Garcia is going to go on. Very pleased to present our final candidate. He's probably the person who has been most stressed about achieving this milestone than I have ever known in my entire life, and who had the least to worry about in achieving it. John Ceballos.
So, John, it's been a long 4 years, but you made it. So congratulations. You know, tonight, and I say this, I think, every year, but tonight is really the epitome of why we take recruiting, hiring, evaluating, and retaining the best faculty, staff, and administrators and leaders in this district that we can find and really who work in the region. It's one of our most important jobs. And I just want to thank you all. Congratulations for doing just a wonderful job being Pelicans, we like to call you, but really being the heart of what we do here and why we exist as a school district. So congratulations to you. So John Ceballos. So John continues to distinguish himself as an educator, a leader, and a human being. He always thinks about others before himself, and this value is what makes our school system so much better. Over the past 4 years, John's efforts improved the learning environment for all children, especially professional learning for our faculty, staff, and administrators. I believe that one of his best qualities is that he sees himself as a teacher first. That mindset helps shape our work in the school district. I asked John to reflect on his proudest moments professionally so far in Pelham. He listed a few, and I'll just share them. Rebuilding and expanding our local tech team, designing the infrastructure of the new Hutchinson School, the business office, and the central office, the Glover Field fiber network system, the PEF Innovation Classroom Grant, which greatly influenced and redesigned the elementary and middle school libraries, and you're sitting in that now, and the Hutchinson School, upgrading the wireless capacity district-wide, and expanding the one-to-one program K-12. One thing he didn't list, but I have to say, it's helping me appreciate the millennial mindset more, so I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I have many more to share and many other ideas, but here are just a few. Leading professional learning for teachers, including his Tech Bites newsletter, supporting his colleagues, especially when filling in as building principal when needed, expanding the tech and computer science programs throughout the district, and really his overall character, honesty, and integrity. But most notably, Through the pandemic, especially at the outset, John ensured that all of our teachers and families were provided with the technical support and devices when remote learning was the norm. Even through personal challenges, John remained most reliable during our most difficult times. He was the linchpin for any success that we had during the past 2 years with remote instruction. He helped research and design best practices, many of which continue to be used today. In short, he enabled us to sustain our learning mission. And I just want to really lead everyone in thanking John for everything he did, because those were difficult times for everyone, but John was the one who enabled it to happen, that we can continue learning remotely in the dark. Lessons learned and varied experiences will only help John succeed in his leadership journey well into the future. It's my belief that receiving tenure is an honorable recognition bestowed on those who demonstrate excellence in and outside the classroom. It signals that the Pelham Public Schools accepts you as an integral member of its community of learners. It does not represent an end, but the beginning of a new chapter with even higher expectations and responsibilities as an educator. And I have complete confidence that John's leadership will continue to influence the way we teach and learn for years to come. Congratulations.
Congratulations again to all of our tenure awardees, friends, family, and colleagues. We're going to pause for just photos for a minute, so if our awardees could come back up.
Technically, we didn't vote yet. So we
Oh,
need to,
I'm sorry.
Ready?
Pause. That was our discussion.
At the count of 3, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No abstentions, I'm sure.
Congratulations. You've been officially conferred tenure. Thank you so much. And now we will invite folks back up for photos. If you would, we'll take about a 5-minute break for photos, and then you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you're also welcome to go and celebrate. Tenure candidates and whoever spoke about them, principals, supervisors, tenure candidates, supervisors.
Folks, can we get the principals and the candidates real quick? The principals and the candidates. And anybody who spoke about a tenure candidate, come on up.
Thanks, Chris.
Whoop.
I didn't say that.
Sydney said you have a hot mic. Okay, we're back to section 4, which is administrative and committee reports. 4.1 is superintendent's report. Dr. Champ.
Great. Very short in light of tonight's main feature we already really spoke about. But I as well just wanted to thank the community for coming out. We had great turnout yesterday, and just thank the community for supporting our budget. We're incredibly excited about this budget and about the many items that we're going to be able to implement on behalf of our students for this coming year. So we're really, the wheels are already in motion. Dr. Garcia's office is already cranking out job postings. Principals are already, already working on interviews. So really, the wheels are in motion. So we're really excited about it. And congratulations, before I get to that, Pauline, I just want to thank Pauline Davies, our district clerk. We say the budget vote is her Super Bowl. For the business office, it's the budget. For Pauline, it's the budget vote. So just incredible
Calm, cool,
efforts.
and collected.
Absolutely. Here at, was it 6:15? From 6:15 a.m. till I believe we walked out of there about 10:15, 10:30 last night. Straight through. So Pauline just an amazing job and handles it all just so professionally and with such integrity, which is so important with elections. So Pauline, really thank you for all of that and for your entire team. We're also very, very appreciative of, we have Gloria Banquith comes back every year. We had just incredible staff that also comes back on an annual basis. A lot of Pelham graduates coming back to help out too, which is always fun to see our college kids coming back and helping with the election. Thank you to the business office again for putting together this incredible budget and for everything that went into it. And we look forward now to hitting all those POs and to making it all a reality. And congratulations, thank you to all the candidates who ran. I know it was an extensive effort every year, as it always is, for all 6 candidates. We appreciate your commitment and your interest in doing this work. And congratulations to Will, to Jackie, and Natalie, who are here tonight with us. And again, Will, I apologize for misspelling your name in the district email. We'll get it right going forward. But congratulations to them. We look forward to your board service and to getting to incorporate you into the team. And that actually ends my report for tonight.
That was a record.
Wow.
All right. Do we have any Board of Education committee reports? I know we have some committee meetings coming up. Okay. Dr. Garcia, you're up.
So obviously, most of the meeting was taken with personnel issues, and congratulations again to all the tenure candidates. Just quickly, so we have 2 more Authentic Learning Committee meetings. One will be on Friday. That will be following the topics of Summer Stars experience. We'll talk about that, provide an E&L update to the experiences our second language students have, and also an update on the social studies textbook that we're proposing for grade 5. And then Friday, June 3rd, will be our final meeting. We'll be talking extensively, I think, about the science research program and the continuum and the success we've had, but really how that bleeds into the middle school and also the elementary school. And then we'll give a update on where we're at with our creation of data dashboards. Very exciting. So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yep.
I told Dr. Garcia that I was waiting on the call at 10 o'clock last Friday.
Oh, yes, I
and
know.
Then on 11 o'clock, and then I looked at my calendar and realized it's next Friday, so.
It's okay.
I'll be there, I promise, on time.
Both do.
Okay. Next is 4.4, Assistant Superintendent's Update on the Whole Child.
Thanks, Jessica. I'd like to alert the board if there are any trends in special ed that are a little different. And we're noticing that for next year, we have 21 CPSE, it's Committee on Preschool Students, who would be coming into kindergarten. Typically, maybe 1 student will stay back in preschool, 1, sometimes 2 if there's a large group. But next year, we have 7 that are staying back. And so it's 33%, and we believe a lot of it has to do with COVID and the fact that their parents feel that they didn't have direct instruction throughout their preschool. So it does have some impact on us, but nothing that we couldn't handle. We respect the parents' right to do that. But what we did was we increased our budget for listening partners, because listening partners, we send in the speech and language and the OT and the PT into the preschools to work with these kids. So again, certainly not a problem for us, but it's just something to note. And it has an impact on our enrollment, of course, because those 7 students won't be in kindergarten. But we talked about that today. Already the numbers are reflecting that. something else, we're still working on our ICT planning for next year, and we're excited about what Jessica Enright's been able to do from GNR Inclusive Group. She's working closely with staff. Our staff, I mean, for as long as all the years I was here, we always collect data, and we're always looking at the data to see the strengths and the needs of the students. But what Jessica is doing is she's working closely and guiding the staff with particular forms, with particular students in mind. And what she's trying to do, she's trying to develop consistent practices so that their goals are listed outside of the IEP in a certain way. So all of that information can be shared in a meeting and talked about when they're progress monitoring with the students. So what we're hoping is the same data then can be shared going forward into the middle school, and it will help at the end of the year when you want to evaluate whether ICT was effective and what trends they're seeing there. So I think all of this will be good. But it's that documentation, it's the consistency we're trying to get across the grades, and also directly teaching teachers. They learn all of this in all of their classes, but it's important to then again revisit it and get eyes on that. So the other thing is I wanted to really thank Lois Michelli in our office. Lois is the person who is responsible for the finalizing of all of the IEPs and 504s and then sending them out. We finalize, but she's sending them out. So to date, 269 have already gone out to the families. And tonight you have another 105 student records that are on your Schedule D. So if you want to just have time tonight to go through each one of those, you can. But certainly anytime you can always ask any of the information that you'd like to know. We're pleased that we're hiring all of the summer ESY staff. It's all on your agenda tonight, and we're excited that the program's at Hutchinson. We think it will be really lovely for the students.
And air-conditioned.
Yes.
I have a question. So you mentioned that 33% of the CPSE students are not matriculating into kindergarten. Is that mirrored in the regular ed population?
I can't say I know that. Actually, these students many of them just would be in our kindergarten. They wouldn't be, They may have a speech need or an OT need, so they would be considered regular ed in that.
I phrased that badly.
So in other words, do we think that the general ed kids are also staying back in preschool?
Yes, that's my question.
I don't have that information. Something
I'd
that
be
we can
interested to
certainly.
know.
I don't know if we could get a complete set of that information, because not all the students in the community go to preschool and then into, we don't have a way to capture all of that data.
Right, because they're not in the system yet.
Right.
You know why we can? Because we're following these CPS kids from when they're 3. So we're keeping an eye on when they're coming to us, and we're planning for them far in advance.
Well, someone that I know well is considering keeping their child back. And I asked them why, and they go, well, everybody's doing it. And I call it the Malcolm Gladwell syndrome. But I would be interested to know if, as a result of, COVID concerns and or just a desire to have their child be older when they enter kindergarten, whether that's actually a phenomenon that we can figure out. And the corollary to that is that someone explained to me, a school district, and I wish I could remember who I was talking to, they explained that they actually have 2 kindergarten classes, one of the younger kids and one of the older kids. And so basically they've turned kindergarten into a 2-year experience, mostly. And thus creating essentially a preschool that's part of the public education system, right? Because those people who wouldn't be in kindergarten would be in preschool, which the school district does not pay for. So it's a subject that I think is interesting, and I don't want to go on to it now because we all want to go home. But I would be interested to know if there's we're detecting that at all. I think it would be something, because it's going to affect our class sizes and everything else.
I think our class sizes, obviously every cohort is different, right?
Yeah.
But we have a look at what kindergarten registration looked like year over year, so I think we could probably see some comparisons. But it's interesting that you say that, because I had a conversation with somebody who was asking me my advice on the same topic this week, so I don't know.
Malcolm Gladwell.
I think we've traditionally seen a little pattern of that before COVID. I think certain elementary zones more so than others. But it is hard to tell because we don't have a full data set of preschool age
Yeah,
children
you don't
coming in.
have that
Once
info.
they come in, we can, that's when we find out that they're, a year older, that they would have been eligible to come the prior year. We were just reviewing section numbers today with the elementary principals, elementary leadership team. And right now, Colonial, we're slated, we've got enough students registered for 2 sections. At Hutchinson, it's still low, but we know that we always gain about a section's worth between now and the start of school. So we're planning for 3 sections at Hutchinson. Prospect is right on the cusp, it's a full 2, and Siwanoy, same thing, full 2. So if we get a couple more students in either of those schools, we could be looking at an additional kindergarten. Right now, we're not there yet, but. So I think right now,
Has it been decided what the new Prospect Hill classroom, what grade level that's going to be?
No, I don't
Are
think
they gonna
so.
all
Oh, in the new
fight it out?
classroom?
The new-
Yeah, it might be a music room, depending on if they don't need
Okay.
it for
If
for
they
actual
end up
classroom
not needing
instruction.
it for the number of
Right.
sections that they have.
Yeah, I think it's going to be flexible, that in any given year, if their numbers go up, they could use it. So, but yeah, those are interesting questions, John. Right now, we're only at 159 registered, as compared to what we're usually at 200.
200?
Yeah, it depends. The last couple of years, we've had smaller enrollments in K and 1. So like just looking at the current numbers in the system right now, 159 registered for kindergarten, which we know will go up. First grade, 193, second grade, 201, third grade, 201, fourth grade, 217, fifth grade, 217. So a little smaller than a few years ago. When we look up to the middle school, high school, you get into
Those are larger cohorts, right? in middle
larger,
school and high
yeah,
school.
middle
Yeah.
school, sixth grade, 246, and we usually see students coming back into the school system, I think, in grade 6. So 246 there, 214 in 7th grade, 188 in 8th grade, kind of an anomaly. 9th grade, 222, 10th grade, 234, 11th grade, 234, and 12th grade, 213. So usually over 200. So yeah, right now we're a little small in those lower grades.
It's interesting
Okay.
though, John, I know, things change, and certainly the pandemic, I think, it would make sense that that had an impact on this, but when we moved here, one of the benefits, and I'm sure other people experience this, and moved for this reason, New York City's cutoff at the time was, I think, August, but if you were a boy, it was, I think it was September 1, but if you were a boy, it was really May.
June or May or something.
And the public school cutoff was December, so you could start your kid earlier here, whereas you would have had to hold them back a year in the city. So my son, who was an August boy, started kindergarten here with boys who had come from the city who were a full year older than he was. So, times change, and that, I'm sure that's still a benefit, but I'm guessing that what the person that is experiencing, maybe that's just something parents are thinking of doing now.
Yeah. Did your son play hockey?
No.
Sports
No,
are
he
always
was
a factor,
he was
right?
younger. My son was the younger one. So
I shouldn't say always, often a factor.
I am sending a kindergartner for next year, so that's one.
Right.
All right.
Is he already registered?
He's registered.
Very
He's
good.
registered, and I did read that Outliers, I think, was the book a
Yeah.
few years ago. But there's there's different takes on
Yes.
that.
Yep.
whole subject.
One thing is, just as an aside, one of the best things we do is observe classroom teachers, and I've been doing that a lot more the past few weeks. I observed 2 kindergarten classes, 2 different schools, and it's just fascinating, right? I'm just, how well the kids have progressed, the children, but just the skill level of our teachers. It's amazing, and I think that, if anyone has reservations, they should speak with principal, and just maybe even visit and get some more ideas, and just get, a full background of what is to be expected in kindergarten.
Parents worry, so we have to make sure we plan for every kind of
Exactly.
student, and we have to make sure the parents understand that. They don't have to come in, sitting quietly, being perfect, and knowing all of their letters and reading, so it's hard decision.
Well, Steve, I think that's also one of the great benefits of the kindergarten screening, right?
Yep.
That you can have a conversation with professionals who have seen thousands and thousands of
Yes.
almost kindergartners and express your concerns and talk about your child.
Have the conversation,
Right.
and it's always good, as a parent, you want the school to know about your child a little bit.
Sure.
But I have experience with several different preschools, and they're great. Their preschools are great, but the amount of resources that our schools offer is more than what the preschool has. So, if a parent is worried about their child academic progress, I think our district has the resources between intervention and all the things that the MTSS, to really help every child.
I'll put you in touch.
Okay, next is Assistant Superintendent's update on finance and facilities. Mr. Ricky, what else do you have to say? Congratulations.
Well, thanks.
We
Thanks
passed
to the
budget.
community. Again, I think we had a wonderful turnout. The engagement from the board for the entire process, I think, was very positive. And certainly congratulations to our newly tenured members of our community here, and certainly to our newly elected members. This evening's budget has a bit of nuts and bolts, as you would see. There's a lot of items related to purchasing, bids that we had issued where we didn't receive what we felt were sufficient bids. We'd only get maybe one response. In some instances, we received no responses, so we reissued bids, and that's why you'll see there's 23 items on the agenda this evening, specifically related to the purchasing. But that's part of what we do. It's part of our outreach. We also have to publicly bid these items and follow the appropriate procedures. So a lot of that you'll see. It's the really exciting stuff of nuts and bolts, really nuts and bolts from Wise Hardware and Pelham Lumber and electrical services and contractors and that sort of thing. I could go on, but I won't. Some of the other items this evening, again, is a notification of a change order at Prospect Hill having to do with some grading issues and drainage on the addition. If you've been by Prospect Hill and had an opportunity to look at the field, it is beautiful. The new sod was laid down last week. It is currently fenced off and hopefully knitting really well so that the students and the kids of our community will be able to enjoy it for many years to come. And the work on the backstops, the fencing on the backstops will still, it's going to be improved. So it's to stay in place, but it's not gonna look the way it looks now when it's done. We're gonna make it nicer.
And Jim, how long do we have that fenced off for?
Well, I think for the immediate future, you'd expect to see it for a good couple of month or two, maybe 3 months, till we are really confident that sod has taken. And we want to make sure it's in great shape for opening day of school, in particular for our students.
So usually two growing 2 seasons.
From new, you're looking for 2 growing seasons. I think lighter use. Again, if you have adults playing soccer on the field, it certainly is a lot greater wear and tear on the field than, say, youth soccer at the younger ages. So we talk to recreation. We meet with them regularly. We'll keep an eye on it if it's available for the fall. I think that's terrific. They're not counting on it, and I think that's the right way to go. But I think there's certainly a lot of positive indications that could tell us that we're pointed in the right direction. How's that for a ratings call?
Thumbs up. Is the Hutch Field starting? When is that starting?
The site work at Hutch, the demolition contractors basically demobilizing, which is good because that means the final site contractor will be coming in.
Casal, right?
Casal, that's correct. What that will entail is the construction of a new field behind the school, the construction of a new playground, and completion of the plantings, of course, and the parking lot off of Lincoln Ave. So it'll be terrific. And the fencing, so the security fencing and everything else, and the rehabilitation of the stairs on Lincoln Avenue, which are saved, but part of the old building landed on them, and that's part of the contractors, making sure that that's in the appropriate condition because they knew we were keeping those steps. So some of those sidewalls are going to be staying there on the corner of Lincoln and Third. It's pretty striking when you go there. There's a lot of sunlight in that corner of the block now.
Also, the area that we've been referring to for years now as the Pocket Park
Yes.
is much bigger than I thought it was.
It is.
So that's going to be really interesting. I know that we went back and forth a number of times.
Have they finished grading the side slope?
The gradation is not complete, so.
I think we lose a bit of that still.
We do, and some of
That
the
makes sense.
stormwater runoff
Okay.
goes through that area, but that's part of, I think, what they're finishing off with right now. And the retaining walls, some of those foundation walls will end up staying as retaining walls.
Right.
Okay.
To hold back some of that earth above. But that's part of the
Because I
final
think the
work.
facilities committee next year might need to spend a little time thinking through what our original assumptions on that pocket park were.
Yes.
So,
Well, the original assumption was that someone else was going to outfit it, right?
yeah, that we would work in conjunction with, a couple of community groups to
build
get
a-
it
build a plan.
beautified. So I think we just need to take a look when
That's right.
when the site is done.
And we've also asked about replacing some of the sidewalk in that area. Some of that was slated to stay, but it
Yeah.
shouldn't. It needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
So I would expect to see some more new sidewalks in those areas on Lincoln and on Third too, in particular where they're due for replacement. I think this is just the time to do it when you have that contractor there. The addition at Prospect, again, looks fantastic. We're waiting on the roof for the actual slate to be delivered. So that's the delay that we're finding there. And then in this evening's meeting, we have a couple of items. A transfer request, really driven by utility expenses, student needs, driven by services, and some of our air conditioning units, as you turn them on in the spring, you turn them off in the fall, and they're fully functioning, and you turn them on in the spring, and they've decided to leave you. So we've had some equipment that's decided to leave us, and we need to get it up and running. And utilities, you may have noticed, we did move some money out of utilities, and then the utility costs have gone up, so we just have to replenish that and to get us to the end of the year. So we think that'll be able to do that for us. And then there's an item on here for professional services, for surveying services at Siwanoy School and at Colonial School. This relates to next year's budget, which involves the engagement of a professional services company to do a playground master plan. And really, the real reason for that is those two sites have playgrounds that really rest close to property lines, and we want to make sure we're aware of what we're working with there. I'm not asking for it at Prospect Hill. Obviously, we got a little bit more boundary and buffer space there. So what we want to do is get that moving. And also the Colonial PTA parent groups are working on an outdoor classroom. They've separately engaged an architect who's asked for an architect. We looked in our property files and we couldn't find one. So I think it's wise for us to have one. And I think this is a good time to do it. It kind of serves a couple of purposes for us. And I believe that's all I have. Oh, and we'll have some committee meeting minutes, hopefully, for the next meeting. We'll stay busy for the next 2 weeks.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Happy to do it.
Okay, section 5 is communications and comments from the public on items that appear on our agenda. Does anybody have any? Okay. Next is section 6, financial reports and motions. I'm going to take 6.1 on its own. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Leah. This is a motion to adopt the 2022-2023 budget vote and board member election results. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby certifies the results of the May 17th, 2022 annual meeting and election as set forth on the attached election results form. All of it is available, I'm assuming, in Board Docs online and in this packet. The Board of Education certifies that the budget proposition was approved, establishment of the capital reserve proposition was defeated, and that Jackie DeAngelis, Natalie Marrero, and Will Treves have been elected to serve on the Board of Education for 3-year terms beginning on July 1st, 2022. Congratulations. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Next, I'll take a consent of 6.2 to 6.30. How do you like that?
So moved.
I didn't even ask for it. Is it a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? I know you ran through a number of these items. Mr. Icky.
A lot of nuts and bolts.
Literally.
And dirt.
Literally.
And lumber.
Lumber.
This is
clay.
the longest list we've had in a while. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Doing it the Vinnie way today again with
Policy.
7.
Yep, section 7, policy monitoring and governance. I'll turn over to Ms. Tabaz. 7.1 is the second reading of policy 3310, access to public records, public access to records.
So both of these policies are ones that we discussed last time. There have been no changes since our last meeting. The first one concerns freedom of information requests that come to the district and how they're handled. And we had an existing policy, we had a new one from the policy service that just expanded a little bit on the nuts and bolts, to use that word again, of how Pauline, our district clerk, responds to those requests. So that's basically it, and we, as I said, we didn't change anything since the last time.
Is there a thought that because there haven't been many changes that we might consider moving to a third reading, or is this one that we feel we should have?
Would be fine with me. Michael?
Anything?
In terms of voting tonight, you mean?
Yeah, because we can waive the third reading. There's nothing, no major changes.
To me,
So.
it's pretty straightforward and.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to waive the third reading of policy 3310. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So now I'd like to take a motion to accept policy 3310, public access to records.
So moved.
Second? Thank you. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, next is 7.1, policy 3121, website accessibility. It's also a second reading.
So this is a new policy that was explained to us, as I said last time, at policy committee by Alex. It's a policy that makes our website ADA accessible, the upshot of it. And we have not changed it since the last reading.
So the website itself has been accessible since we went through that
Yes.
really robust process a couple summers ago, but this is a policy to codify that?
Yes.
This is a required policy, I presume?
Yes, and it's new for us.
I don't recall any major comments on that either, right?
No. This was, again, one that came to us from the policy service. I think we made one small
On the
edit.
second page, there's a
To the
little
policy?
red line. Beginning of the second page under
Yep.
training, takes out and procurement officials.
Right.
We just didn't feel that was necessary.
So it was just a very minor
Yeah.
edit.
So is this another one where we might consider waiving the third?
I would be fine with that. It's something that we were already doing before we had the policy, so.
Okay, I'd like to take a motion to waive the third reading of policy 3121, website accessibility.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I'd like to take a motion to adopt policy 3121, website accessibility. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Section 8 is superintendent's personnel recommendations. Take a consent of 8.1.
We did.
Oh, we already did 8.1. We voted on it. We didn't forget. 8.2, I'll take a consent to 8.4. Do I have a motion?
8.5?
Oh, I didn't see it.
Yeah, that probably goes on to the next page.
Okay, I gotta go.
You're in paper, yeah.
There are two
8.2.
Okay.
Two Schedule Cs.
I need to go back to the computer. All right, 8.2 to 8.5.
Schedules A, B, C, instructional, and C, non-instructional.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, additions? We have a a future
do.
retirement.
Actually, there is one retirement in the PPS staff. Sally Tedesco, she's been with the district for 16 years. Just asking Ms. Matthews if your recommendation would be for the board to accept the retirement or to
Absolutely
not accept the
No,
retirement.
No, absolutely not.
She's not allowed to go.
So she's beloved by the department, and certainly they're sad to see her go. She's given us a six-month notice, so fortunately, we will still be blessed as a district to have her for the next 6 months, but we certainly wish Sally well and health in her long retirement.
Any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have Schedule D in Section 9. Do I have a motion to approve Schedule D?
So moved.
Thank you. And I think I heard Leo with a second. Any questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Section 10 is new business. Is there any new business?
I did have one item I wanted to raise, hopefully relatively quickly. The business office oversees our building use, and certainly policy 3280 oversees facilities use. And one of our general practices is, especially with our PTAs, we try to work things out so they don't, their events don't drive costs, because if an event from any outside group drives costs, then that party is responsible for those fees. With the recent Hutchinson International Day event, this year, due to the late notice of us coming out of our COVID protocols and starting to allow greater facilities use and large events, they didn't get to planning the event until late. And as a result, their DJ was not available on Saturday, only available on Sunday. So they booked it for Sunday, but Sunday is a day that we're not open. So their event did unfortunately require custodial support, which under our normal circumstances, they would be charged for. So our policy does allow for me to ask the board to consider different opportunities, and I'm bringing it to the board to consider if this time we might want to make an exception given COVID protocols, given the international fair, given that Sunday is where it landed, with the understanding that it's generally on a Saturday. And when it's on other days of the week and we have staff in, it's very easy for us to work things out in a way that doesn't drive cost. I just wanted to bring that to the board for consideration.
I think that's a great idea.
I do as well.
That's their most important event.
Yeah.
One of their most important events.
And it's great that they got to do it, even if it was on a
Yeah.
different day.
Yeah.
It just seems like a year where we need to be flexible, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
So how would that work, that we would just not charge them?
We would, if someone were to make a motion to waive the custodial fee for
Okay.
the International Day event, then we would just, if the board approved that motion, then we could take care of that. It's about, just so you know, it's a little over $600, I think. Sunday is a double time pay. So we're looking at a little bit over $600 that the board would waive.
Yeah. Thank you for explaining it, because I'd heard, oh, we weren't charged in the past, but now I understand it
That's
was the
exactly
difference
right.
between Saturday
Yeah,
and Sunday.
and we always try to work it out, but it's the Sunday situation.
Yeah, I think
So
that's a
I'd like
pretty
to
small
propose a
amount.
motion to waive the fee for the International Day celebration, for custodial charges for the International Day celebration at Hutchinson School.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Okay, awesome. They will be very appreciative.
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Sure.
And I'm glad they got to have it in person. I think it was
Yeah.
last year that I watched the video of it,
Yeah,
and that was
beautiful
really
video,
cool
yeah.
also, but it's just not the same as being in person, so.
I heard there was some Chinese food that was very popular.
The food's very popular, yeah.
I'm sure.
I heard that all the food is interesting.
And lastly is section 11, which is communications and comments from the public on other items. Forever hold your peace. Okay, Ms. Ceballos.
Madam President, would you entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I'm abstaining.
Just for the heck of it.
It's going to be a thing now.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
It is definitely.